with all the big calls on all the big races. It's time for another weekend. What a shout. Welcome back to the Racing Post flagship weekend feature show. That's right, it's so good I said it twice. It's Dave Orton back with you in the capital somewhere on a Friday morning. Delighted to be here. Who have we got coming up on the panel? Breaking overnight, of course, the news that three-time champion jockey Oisin Murphy relinquishes his licence while he goes to concentrate on medical support in the BHA's statement. Basically, the rehabilitation of Oisin Murphy. Listen, it's been a tumultuous year for Oisin. As we know, 2020, there were some COVID protocols reportedly breached as well. But we had him on this show in August, and he was absolutely sensational. You loved it out there. We loved it out there as well. When you're put under the microscope like Oisin, let's face it, your life is in the public eye. And I'm sure he will bounce back. Our great support here for Oisin from everyone at What a Shout. So that won't be one of the hot topics, I can tell you that. Probably much relief to everyone out there as well. But Pat Cooney joins me back in the studio from our sponsors. Welcome back, man.
Yes, good to be here. And I echo what you've just said about Oisin as well. The sport's a better place with him in it. So good wishes to him going forward.
He was the only guest we've ever had that sort of presented the show alongside with me. He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was good value for money, and that's how he is. So as I say, I wish him all the very best in next year.
Yes, okay, all right, fair enough. It's been a busy week in racing, isn't it? A lot of people putting their head above the parapet. So from one confused snowflake to another, Graeme Rodway joins me in the studio. Gee, good to have you back.
Yeah, great to be back. Nice drive through the traffic this morning, Dave. Very busy in London, wasn't it?
I don't know.
You thought it was all right, did you?
I did. Of course, people working from home.
Well, yeah, Christmas soon, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Looking
Yeah, let's get
forward to it.
festive, shall we, and introduce our big guest. Now, it was this weekend last year that he made his debut on the show. And according to government guidelines, of course, work from home if you can. One man that's doing his work from Pond House today, Dave Pike, joins us.
Morning, gentlemen.
How are we, Dave? Again, the season's well underway now. Crowds back, Dave, all that sort of thing. 18 winners for the year, some really progressive horses. One very topical big runner. We'll get to Remastered later in the show. How have things generally been going for you and the team?
Pretty slowly, to be honest. We've got a lot of... the weather's played a bit of a part in it. We probably haven't got the numbers of old. But we've had some unseasonably dry weather, and a lot of them just need softer ground.
You have got a stable star now, though, Dave. I think it's fair to say, isn't it? You know, Adagio unfortunately picked up a slight knock, hasn't he? So, at the moment, just on the easy list.
Yeah, he's recovering. He's making progress. Slower than what we would want, but he's making progress, going in the right direction. Unfortunately, it meant he had to miss out on the international hurdle and the Christmas hurdle coming up. Two big races. But, the main thing is to get him back right, and obviously our aim is the champion hurdle.
You must have been absolutely thrilled with him, because he's one of these heart-on-sleeves, ex-juveniles, Dave, isn't he? And he ran really well in the Triumph, and really well, of course, at Aintree. Would have given Monmorel a lot more to think about had he not fluffed the last there. That comeback as well in the Greatwood, sterling stuff under a big weight.
It was a great performance. Obviously, 4-year-olds in their second season do find it hard. So, it was a great performance, but most people that know me, I'm never happy with a second.
Well, indeed, first place loser, as Graeme Rodway knows more than most.
Exactly.
Look, we're all We're all going to ask you about one horse. And again, viewers, when Dave came on this time last year, we asked about favourite Pond House horses over the years. It went off the charts, that. In fact, it set a new template for us asking guest questions. You know, some of the old favourites out there, bundles of them, aren't there, from Martin's days when Dave took over as well. You've nicked the stable star, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd like to ask David about Adagio. And David, I was just looking at the horse's CV. He's rated 152 over hurdles, but with just 3 runs on the flat to his name, he's only rated 87. So would you be thinking about running him on the flat at some point in his career?
Yeah, definitely, Pat. We thought about giving him an entry in the Cesarovic last season, but we decided not to. But it's, highly likely he'll have entries in those types of races next flat season.
What did you say he was rated?
87, which is £65 lower than his hurdle mark, and seemed to
You're
me...
getting a Cesarovic off that pretty much as well, wouldn't you? All right, that's one to watch as well.
Yes, indeed.
G, have you got a horse to ask David about?
Cyril Delac. Cyril Delac, Dave. Yeah, I had to think about it then. Cyril Delac. What's his next target?
Good question. After the way he's been running, we ran him over hurdles in his first start, and it appeared that he might not have got the 3 mile, but he probably improved fitness wise. But he was disappointing the other day at Cheltenham, so back to the drawing board. He's dropped a lot in the handicap, but fortunately he picked up a bad injury last season. He seems fine with that injury now, but he's not performing on the track at the present moment. So we'll freshen him up, get him out in the new year, but plans are on hold with him at the present moment.
Festival winner, of course, Sudirlak. He caught my eye for a long way in the Paddy Power, of course, just seeing out his races. Then that's interesting. All right, I've got one for you, Dave. And don't worry, this is where the flattery comes back in. You've inherited a horse called Sidi Ishmael, who is performing on the track. It'll be a hat trick wherever he goes next. Where might that be?
Yeah, no, he's done well. Pleased. I mean, jumps well. He won over hurdles first time at Lingfield, and then first time over fences, won nicely up at Wetherby. It's possible he'll have entries in 3-3 big chase at Market Rasen on Boxing Day, or there's race at Exeter coming up, or there's the Southern National at Plumpton early, I think the 2nd of January. So seems to be a strong stayer, and obviously he's improving.
Yeah, we don't know how good he is yet. All right, good stuff. Couple of weekend runners then, Dave. Ask you about Old Nordic Combined. Horse that won't mind what the ground is up there at Haydock, I imagine. He's come back down in the handicap, hasn't he?
He has. He's a great horse for the David Pipe Racing Club. Silk's in the background, Dave.
There you go. Well advertised as ever.
Yeah, you know, he runs his race. He's hard to predict when he puts his head in front, but he's usually thereabouts. Got form round Haydock, won't mind the ground. Fergus Gillard rides and gets on well with him, so hopefully he'll be thereabouts at the end.
Yeah, Fergus Gillard having another really promising season, isn't he, as well? Of course, you've got Poker Play, your other runner up there, with Tom Skoo in the saddle.
Yeah, Poker Play, I mean, it can't be soft enough for him. Obviously, the weather this season hasn't really played to his strengths. He ran well at Fosslas first time out. Hasn't always being the most consistent of horses, but if he can perform to his best, it should put him with a shout.
All right then, and as previously mentioned, we've got Remastered to go. Let's have a look at what we've got coming up on the rest of the show. We will be delving into the hot topics for you, 5 big race previews, and we'll see if we can get Dave Pipe to give us a nap amongst those all-important weekend winners. So this festive season here at the Racing Post, yes, we are feeling generous. Ho, 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 indeed. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the Members Club, now is a wonderful time to amend that, because we will give you your first 3 months at half price. Absolutely online, unlimited access, and access to the digital newspaper at 9 o'clock every evening as well for those headlines of the front page. All you have to do is follow the link. Right then, hot topic time. Regular viewers will be delighted to have this back, no doubt. There's been some sizzling topics of late, but we have picked out some of the 6 biggest for you, and some welcome relief, I think we can say, amongst it coming for the sport as well. Let's get them up then. There you can see Elsie bows out. Wow, seismic announcement. One of the greatest trainers of all time, dual purpose, certainly the trainer of the great Desi, of course. He retires, Ellsworth, 82. There you go. Who saw that one coming? I suppose it may be on the cards. We might be getting Elsie next week onto the show, so I'm going to park that one there if you don't mind. Okay. Best behaviour. Should we go for this one, G? Do you fancy picking that one out? Let's concentrate on this. I've bowled you a curveball there, didn't I? You're like, what are you coming to me for? It's a hot potato, this. But maybe not. I think, obviously, you know, the dust is starting to settle a little bit on, you know, what was a real bloody nose for the sport, wasn't it, with the Bryony Frost and Robbie Dunn, you know, hearing, and the outcome and the reaction of everyone afterwards in racing, I think, and the wider media. It now looks like all the regulatory bodies are going to come together and get an independent panel to look at the conduct of those in the sport. Step in the right direction?
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it, Dave? After what's happened, of course, the sport's got to be seen to be doing something, hasn't it? And
you think it's a bit token then, do you?
Well, I think that you know, I'm just not sure how much of a difference it's going to make. I mean, I hope it makes a huge difference, but I'm just not sure.
Pat?
You'd hope so. Good can come out of bad, can't it? But you just hope everybody gets together and agrees on a common sense theme to it all. I'm with G a little bit. You do sense this weighing room. It's still very much a closed shop, don't you? Just reading the comments after the result of the inquiry. I hope that doesn't begin to be the case, because it didn't do the sport any good at all seeing it in the mainstream newspapers on back pages, did it? So let's hope, yes, it's not just token, but it's a real methodical assessment of trying to bring the sport into the current times.
Yeah, Dave, have you got a word for us on this? You've obviously been watching from afar. Great place to work. Everyone that is associated with Pond House will tell you that. A good step?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a good step. I mean, we always need to look at these things and other things in the sport and in life in general. It's a great place, the weighing room. At the same time, these things unfortunately happen from time to time. It's quite simple in life in general, I think, isn't it? You treat others like you would like to be treated yourself. I think you have to keep it simple, but I'm sure good will come out of it.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, let's move on from that then. Absolutely right. This is bigger than the industry, that story, isn't it? We should all acknowledge that one, I think. Welcome Boost. Who's going to take this one? I might throw this one to Dave Pipe, actually, if you don't mind. And as our industry guru, Bill Barber, wrote in the paper this week after some tumultuous headlines, it's been somewhat of a relief to see that there are prize money increases. Jockey Club, Kempton, Ascot, of course, not even with the Kipco meeting, Dave. 15 million they're going to race for there without the Champions Day showpiece. And one that you'll be interested in, no doubt, because you had the second in the race last year, the Moor Battle Hurdle, sponsored by our very own Bet365. This is good, isn't it?
Fantastic. Yeah, it's great news. Badly needed across the board, and any boost in any of the prize money, any of the tracks is fantastic. Because as you can see from the sales prices, these horses are costing a lot of money, and we say we have the best racing, or best jump racing in the world. So we need to keep up with that.
Yeah, it was a great race last year, Pat, wasn't it? Of course, the Shunter beat poor old Night Edition, who's sadly lost a colic now, of course, for the pipe team. We might ask him who Dave is lining up for a repeat bit of that one. And you sponsor it. Yeah. You're getting your money out.
Absolutely. We sponsored the meeting for the first time last year, and there was just a £100,000 bonus if you won the Bet365 Moor Battle Hurdle. And it's on March the 5th this year, so Cheltenham's very imminent. The Shunter won it. I think he had about half a dozen engagements at Cheltenham, and he duly won. So it can be done. With the Moor Battle Hurdle this year, it's gone up. The prize money has gone up from 75,000 to 100,000 on the race. And that day at Kelso, the whole card, the total prize money is a whopping £260,000. So Kelso is very much the place to be March the 5th. And I say, if you win the Moor Battle, you're probably going to be a single figure price for whatever race you run at the festival. So the Shunter did it. I'm sure Emmett Mullins has probably got something lying in wait for us once again, and as indeed most other trainers have. But great to see prize money increasing. It seems to be a topical throughout the week. But of course, yes, you hope it filters down right to the lower level at some point.
That's the caveat, isn't it? Yeah. We've got to see this going down. Of course, if you are, a Catterick Tuesday trainer, without being disparaging at all, an all-weather trainer, that's your trade, your small yard. Gee, this has got to be seen, isn't it? Going down, filter through, for goodness sake.
Yeah, and a lot of the problems, a lot of people say it doesn't. So it never makes it back down to the bottom. The prize money at the top stays okay, but the lower reaches doesn't ever really increase. I do like these bonuses for winning at Cheltenham, at Kelso. And
we've got the original bonus hunter on the line.
The bonus king is here. Yeah.
It's not the Imperial anymore, Dave, is it? It's all about the Moor Battle. Have you got one of your line up?
I'd love to have one lined up. If Adagio takes his time, perhaps he might have to go for it. It's fantastic about 365, and we used to love trying to do the bonuses from Sandown on to Cheltenham, so it's a great initiative, and all greatly received. Yeah,
okay. Let's go to pick the last one then. Let's whittle through this. Let's go down, and where we're going to go, of course, is randomly picked. And Land of Oz, we should say, expecting news soon about Holly Doyle going to join Tom Marquando, partner down in Australia. That would be big news to keep us warm through the winter down there. But playing it safe, news, of course, with the Plan B restrictions that have been voted in Parliament. Of course, any venue 4,000 or over outdoor now must produce COVID passes. Now, guys, I'm going to lead on this one. I've been, I'm a season ticket holder at Watford, which I keep bleating on about, I know that. But every time I go through the door there, since October the 1st, and I do go with someone who would consider themselves vulnerable or a shielder. We've had to show, randomly, albeit, since October the 1st, the Premiership were one of the first to say we're doing this anyway, to show vaccination passes, your double jab or what might have to be your booster. Now, look, there's a political hot potato in all this, but Scott Burton in the paper in the week suggested, again, before Omicron, of course, that's going on, we're hoping that everything will still be fine, that this might bring those that were a bit worried about going into enclosed spaces, back in, of course, with COVID passes. Ascot this weekend will have to do it.
A bit token. We spoke about this just the last one, didn't we? I'm not against it. I don't have a problem with it, but can't you just get a lateral flow test and enter a negative
lateral
result?
flow is, LFT as they're known, are attached to it, aren't they, as well? So
you can take a negative lateral flow test and enter a negative result into the system, and get the pass to say that you've done it. But how does anyone know whether you've actually taken the lateral flow test or not correctly?
Well, it came in on Wednesday, didn't it? And of course, we had the Newbury meeting, and the likes of Harry Redknapp who came and had a word with us, of course, and he said, "Sweet as a nut," Harry said, didn't he? But it all worked quite smoothly, I think. Now, that's a big course, isn't it?
The responsibility still lies with the people that are taking the tests and having the vaccines, really. It doesn't make any difference to me whether you're showing it or not. I mean,
you're going to Fakenham on Sunday, aren't you? So the great man will be at Fakenham if you want to go and throw tomatoes at him. But you probably won't have to do it, though.
I don't know. Well, there might be 4,000 there.
Christmas meetings are very popular, aren't they?
Let's hope for Fakenham that there's 4,000 there.
People that are worried about racing stopping, again, if we get locked down, if that does happen, worst case scenario, of course, for a lot of people out there, the mental health and the well-being, all this, we lift the spirits, don't we? We will continue. The show will go on.
Yeah, I think racing is very much haunted still by being blamed, wasn't it, for the Cheltenham Festival. So any time it does get a mention, people say, "Oh yeah, but the Cheltenham Festival, that was the start of it."
But look at what we did in April. Rachel Blackmore winning the
that's right.
But Cheltenham Festival.
The sport has proved it knows how to handle it now.
Unprecedented audiences, wasn't
correct?
It, so?
Yeah. So I mean, I was at Doncaster last week. Good, healthy crowd, big place. The protocols were in place. Indeed, they were in place at the St Ledger meeting of last year as well, prior to not being allowed to do it. So racing's experience at knowing what to do and to prepare for it since the Cheltenham Festival of last year. So I'm sure it could handle it well. I think no racing is a long way off. Really.
But is the problem actually the race courses, or is it just the whole day of maybe people going to the pub beforehand and making a day of it and
train there, that sort of thing?
Yeah, train there. Yeah. How much of the problem is actually at the races? As I say, it's not a bad idea. I just honestly don't think it's going to make that much difference either way.
There you go, a range of opinions, and there were your hot topics. First of the big race previews for you. Let's get stuck into them. Up at Haydock, it's the 205. Tasty handicap hurdle coming up over an extended 2 mile 2. Pat Cooney, who's been hot?
Well, the hot horse has been Mackleduff of the informed Ollie Murphy, and I think that's principally because he's actually got recent form to his name. There's 9 runners in the race, and 5 of them haven't run for quite a long time. Stellar Magic, 306 days. Bossman Fred, 440. Little Awkward, 283. Solar Motion, 700 days. Manila Charmer, 302. So you wouldn't imagine they're going to be strong in the market. And I think the recent fitness and Mackleduff, and OK form, has made him the mover in the race at all. My eye is drawn to Heart of Steel of Donald McCain and Brian Hughes. This horse is a double-figure price at the moment. Not often Brian Hughes rides a horse up north at a double-figure price.
And around Haydock.
And this horse, he won well first time out. And then I was surprised, but obviously limited opportunities. He was dropped down in trip last time out, and that was all against him. He's now back up in trip. Brian Hughes, Haydock, Donald McCain. I think he'll outrun his odds, put it that way. But it's an interesting way how the market goes here, because these are talented horses, but are they going to win after a long layoff on testing ground? You'd rather be against them than with them.
Well, that brings me to my stellar guest, who is going for...
Yeah, Stellar Magic. Coming off a long layoff.
Are you expecting this guy to conjure up a performance?
Yes, I'm not too worried about the long absence.
It was horribly too bad to be true when he was bidding for a hat-trick,
he broke a bone in his knee, So that was, you know, an easy excuse there. He's got a good record for us. He's won a couple of times, first time up, hasn't he?
You never
So
know what you're going to get though after an injury,
but,
do you? I mean, he did win after a layoff last year. I mean, everyone's going to be drawn to this chap. I'll be surprised if he doesn't go off Fav.
Oh, if he definitely got off Fav. I mean, he loves heavy ground, so this won't be a problem. He's won round Taunton, and when he beat Alaphilippe last time, I mean, that went on and won a Grade 2 next time out. So, I mean, this all could be absolutely thrown in off this mark.
And Hobbs, we know he can get them ready, don't he? He was top of my list, but I'm worried about him at the start. Just a horse coming off an injury, like a horse coming off a fall and all that sort of thing. I know we've got Remastered later on at the card. He needs to prove himself as well. He just put me off slightly.
You know the funny thing about horses coming off a fall is they're actually profitable to back. Now this is one of...
Here we go.
I've heard these weird theories before. Oh, well, I don't like backing horses coming off of a fall. But they actually go underestimated in the market. People all think, oh, I don't want to back that horse because he fell last time out. And if you just back them all blind in Britain the last few years, you'd have made a profit. Amazing,
You're actually agreeing with the trainers at this point. It's weird. You're going sort of full circle, aren't you? Because a lot of the trainers, like Paul Nicholls, for example, will say it's just a fall. You know, it happens all the time.
Well, it's a positive if you fancy Remastered, isn't it?
I'm going to throw one into the mix if you don't mind. Up for Parole. Again, rather topically named with the gentleman I'm looking at the moment. And this chap looked like he might have to do some time because he's been scandalous over fences and it's not what was expected. But last year over hurdles, he looked like he was absolutely going the same way. Our very own Tom Collins loves this horse. And I was surprised to see the price. What is he Pat at the moment?
Well, he has been a big mover. And on both his runs this season, he's lost a shoe both races. So if they do the laces up properly this time around on him, then he's one to consider as well. He's quite unexposed, isn't he? I see wisdom in giving him a chance as well.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll take that from Pat Cooney, then might go in again. That is the 205. OK, let's go to Haydock's showpiece of the weekend. It is the Tommy Whittle. And Pat, before we go to David Pipe and get a word on what will be the favourite in the race, how are we betting?
Well, Remastered of David's is a very solid favourite. He was bigger prices. He's now around about 11-4. And of course, we judge him on his last run when he unseated, or what did he do? He fell in the Ladbrokes at Newbury. At the time, if you stopped the race and said what happened next,
well,
a lot of people would have said Remastered would have probably have won.
Yeah.
You can go other ways on that, but there's no denying he would have been bang there. And of course, he runs off the same handicap mark this time. So I do think if he maybe not have won the Ladbroke, which is a hot handicap, the Tommy Whittle might be that slightly bit easier to win. And so I get why he's favourite for
Any other movers?
There's a horse I'm quite interested in, AC Milan, Anthony Honeyball.
Slowly coming back to the board, isn't he?
Good stable, always keep an eye out for them. And he made his reappearance over hurdles, and that was his first run after a wind drop. So that might be thinking, I wonder if they see how he goes. This is now his second run. He's only 7. I give him some sort of a chance, but would any of these winners of the Ladbroke last time out in a hot-looking race? I'm not so sure. I think Remastered is very hard to get away with, granted a clear round.
Yeah, OK, all right, you've all been waiting patiently, so let's go to Dave. Dave, what did Fergus Gillard say when he came off, apart from, of course, getting the bleep machine out after that fourth class? He just launched him at it. A lot of people out there saying he was the moral winner of the Ladbroke Trophy.
Yeah, he said sorry.
Oh, no!
Look, we were just... the main thing was the horse was OK, it was a horrible fall. How Remastered performs on Saturday will tell you what would have happened in the Ladbroke. It visually looked like he was going better than anything else, and you would have thought he would have been bang there at the finish. Saying that, it was still a long way, from the finish. The positive that day was he performed well on good to soft ground. He's back on his favoured soft, heavy ground. As Pat said, this whilst this is a decent race, it's not a Ladbroke. He's off the same mark, so you'd like to think he's got a great chance.
Do you think he would have done, probably like a Madison Du Berlay or something like that? Do you think he would have won, Dave? Come on, put your cards on the table here.
I don't know. It's a long way from home, Dave. I mean, he would have been. He would have been bang there. How he jumped, he jumped brilliantly.
Yeah.
He jumped brilliantly up to that point. Fergus Gillard had given him a great ride. We've been through the race with Fergus, and I spoke to Tony McCoy about it and everything. So But, he seems to be getting better with age. He's a little bit inconsistent over hurdles. Over fences, he's been much better. And sometimes he's been a bit of a weak finisher, but he seems to be finishing his races strongly nowadays.
Yeah, all right, okay. And Dave, the form of that National Hunt Chase, 3-6 and a bit or whatever it is now, does look good. Of course, we've not seen Ascari attend the next destination coming out, but Galvin, Snow Leopard S, etc. He was there, wasn't he, until the stamina seemed to give way. That looks like a strong race. How far can this chap go, do you think, if all being well?
If he went and won nicely on Saturday, then you're going to have to step him up in grade again. And he does appear to be improving, and the owners hope he ends up a Gold Cup one day, and he's going in the right direction, but he's still got a bit to go.
That's of course well-known colours for the Gold Cup, of course. G, you've had a look at this race. You've heard from David Pipe. You've heard from the Pat Cooney. What are you going to put up?
People usually call me that. Sam's Adventure for me. Won it last year off a mark of 133. It's up in the weights, of course. But lights, heavy ground, lights, Haydock. That's a big tick, isn't it? Heavy ground, Haydock. That's all you need to know, isn't it, in these races?
He's a bit of a character. Do you remember when he won the race last year? He got a smack before the first, I think. And my issue with him is the mark. It's clearly Ellison has been getting him ready for a repeat of this, but he's £9 higher. And I looked at AC Milan like that as well, and Andy Hannibal coming back. Yeah. Sejourn was second for the same character.
Yes, indeed.
I think this is gift horse time, and I would like Mr. Pipe to come back on the show, so I'm tipping Remastered. He'd probably scarpered by now, and he would just
I think whatever you back, if it isn't Remastered, you should at least save on Remastered, put it that way.
Yeah, okay, all right. One of the highlights of the jump season, it is the Tommy Whittle. Will it be Remastered? Get your comments in below. 3 o'clock at Ascot. It is a staying handicap chase over those famous fences. And you get the feeling, Pat Cooney, these are the races on Saturday that people love to have a stab at.
Yeah, and they've been wide of the target in the last 5 years. The last 5 winners of this race, the winners, the SP, 16-1, 16-1, 33-1, 17-2, and 20-1.
Who did win it last year?
I don't know who won it last year, but we've got previous winners. Valtor won this in 2018 at 33, and our old friend Regal Encore won this in 2019
Brilliant.
and 2016.
Yeah.
So this is a race, anything goes here, and as a result of that, I think you just have to leave just about every horse in the race. The favourite at the moment is Bellamy de Picton.
He always seems to be favourite for nearly every run he has. He's obviously had his problems, hasn't he?
He has, but his reappearance was fourth to Snow Leopard S, who won so heroically at the Aintree meeting over the national fences last time. Like that, fragile horse, should he be favourite? Maybe, maybe not. Money in the race for Grand Saucy, he's been popular, 11-2. I think you don't be afraid to back one at a big price. Jerry's Back is always popular, despite more of a postcode.
Groans from the gods, I think we can hear on that one.
I mean, his form figures are a postcode rather than form, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I've ended up thinking, what's wrong with Caribbean Boy? He's not a 2.5 miler. He's going up to 3 miles for the first time, and he's got first-time cheek pieces. Daryl Jacob, Nicky Henson. He is only 7. I seem to fancy him every time he runs.
That's the problem, and I sort of groaned about Jerry's Back, but he just obviously hasn't clicked for him, has it? But
no.
He's a sucker horse, isn't he? Who have you been suckered into?
Yeah, it's that sort of race, isn't it? Oh, not him again. Oh.
Yeah, do you remember when...
Caribbean Boy,
you last year,
Caribbean
you
Boy,
thought you had the jewels at Aintree, didn't you?
Cheltenham.
Cheltenham, sorry, of course. You went mad about the start.
It was the start.
Didn't
He
you?
got undone by the start.
Yeah,
he lost it at the start, then he absolutely flew home. But he's one of those horses I keep backing him.
Yeah,
and don't
me
win.
too.
And there's Jerry's Back. Yeah, you think, this is his day, and then he falls, didn't he, last time at the track, and there was money for him that day. I backed Hofcap.
Yeah,
he was another sort of horse, wasn't he, for most of his career, and then suddenly they switched the tactics up, took him to the front, Tom Skoo, and he was a revelation last season, wasn't he? Won that Ladbrokes Trophy.
It all went wrong in the National when he had the breather, didn't he?
Yeah, it went wrong in the National, but he's actually ran 2 fairly decent races this year. OK at Cheltenham, first time out, when John O'Neill said he would come on both physically and mentally.
Why didn't he run better in the Ladbrokes Trophy then? Was it the weight?
Well, I just think that was a race. It is always one of the strongest handicap chases of the season for a start, and he was up there going a good pace the whole way round. And I don't think he was disgraced. Finished 6th of 21. I mean, only 11 finished, but I mean, 6th of 21 is a fairly decent effort. This is not a Ladbrokes Trophy. This is a much weaker race. He's running off a £4 lower mark.
Yeah.
I've seen people saying he's handicapped to the hilt. Well, not according to our handicapper. According to our handicapper, Steve Mason, he's by far the best handicapped horse in the race.
That's interesting.
Judged purely on that Kelso win.
He'll like the ground, won't he?
So I'll just my number one hope is that we've got to switch up a jockey here, haven't we? Tom Scudamore always rides him and rides him prominently, and I hope John Joe O'Neill goes out and sticks him in front, because what I don't want to see is Cloth Cap, in third or fourth or fifth or being held up.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it will suit a horse that will creep into it in Grandson-C, who you mentioned. Caught my eye big time.
2 miler, according to Keith Melrose.
Yeah.
Wants 2 miles.
Well, listen, as much as I...
Does he stay?
As much as I respect our learned betting editor, Keith Melrose, I do think he does want this sort of trip now. And if you watch him back, that he does plug on after hitting a bit of a flat spot. My worry with him is whether he really wants it anymore. We're going to find out here, I think, because the race will be set up perfectly for him. There's a lot of pace on us, as aforementioned. Right, some great characters then in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. Who are you with? Let us know below. Final race preview this weekend, and it is an absolute belter. It's sort of like Greatwood, the Betfair Exchange Trophy, which we're about to have here. And of course, then the Betfair Hurdle, these great 2-mile handicaps all the way to the county, of course. And this is a really deep field, Pat, isn't it? No, not so sleepy, of course. He would have been going for a hat trick. And of course, joint winner of the Fighting Fifth. Who did he beat when winning last year?
He beat a horse called Buzz. Whatever happened to him, I don't know. But,
Exactly. So it's a classy affair, isn't it? Who wins?
Well, I think the market at the moment, No Ordinary Joe is favourite. I thought he ran a really, really big race at Cheltenham last time. He pulled hard. He did absolutely everything wrong. And I thought with about half a mile to go, I thought, hey, this is one that he's just going to disappear out the back of the telly. Yeah. And he was still there punching, and he finished an excellent third. So he's very much on the shortlist. The 4-year-old of Paul Nicholls, Samareve, he got his act together to win well enough last time. Yeah. So he goes there with a solid chance. They're going to be the 2 at the head of the market for sure. I actually think I might have one in this race.
Ooh.
Benson.
Beaten in it last year.
Beaten in it last year, but he wasn't beaten too far. His first time now in a visor this time around, which is interesting.
I can see why they're putting that on, because if a lot of Benson fans out there. Paul Keeley's on annual leave at the moment, but I guarantee that would be one of his sizzlers. He loves this horse.
He was 5-1 joint favourite for this a year ago. Yeah. Off 137. Yes, he got beat.
He gets scrubbed along at times, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's now off 133. He's trained by the good Dr. Newland. Now, do horses improve for leaving Nicky Henderson's? I can't think of many, in all honesty, but this is the good doctor. Yeah. He's trained a Grand National winner, and it's wrapped around in his price. He's around about 14, 16.
I think he's still waited to win a race, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's one of those 14 runners. Look out for the each-way terms that any of the firms offer. Some might even go first 5 on this race. Yeah. Could he rattle home and be in the first 5? Yeah, I can see that.
We've got West Cork in the race, of course, though, great training performance, wasn't it, for the Skeletons, a big fillip for them that weekend. Of course, No Ordinary Joe close up with him in that. Do you see that form being reversed?
I have a feeling it might be reversed here, because I think that obviously West Cork was bang on for that race, first time up after a long layoff, and Henderson doesn't always target that first meeting at Cheltenham. He hasn't got a great record there, and I wonder if No Ordinary Joe might just have needed the run. I think that maybe we'll reverse that form. But I like one more for the road, which I think
winning
you've said to me
machine
a few times. Absolute winning machine, and jumps so well.
Could he do the not so sleepy and crack on with it, you reckon?
Well, Bryony from the front, Bryony from anywhere is pretty good.
He got left a little bit alone, didn't he, the Jerry Fielden? You obviously don't think that was a fluke then?
It was obviously a tactical.
Fluke's a bit harsh.
Tactical race.
Fluke's a bit harsh. I mean, he's won his last 3, and
Neil
King's got a right runner here.
Yeah, it was a tactical race, wasn't it? But he jumps well, and at the 2-mile hurdlers, if you're a slick jumper, that's half the battle, and he does jump well. And I'm hoping that Bryony can get him nicely up there and dictate this. And he hasn't been whacked by the handicapper for winning that race, has he? He's only gone up £3. The handicappers took a pretty dim view of it.
That's lenient.
That's fairly lenient. I mean, Gal Road's a decent horse. Soaring Glorious Fourth is a decent horse. I know that it was tactical and he had the thing in it, and it wasn't ideal, but he still won it, and he's improved. I just don't think we've seen the best of him yet. You know?
Fair enough. Absolutely. Yeah, he could still have a bit to go. And it did look like he should be aimed at the Betfair Hurdle, didn't it? So this is the next stepping stone on the road.
Neil King has never made any bones about the fact this is a good horse and it works like a good horse. And we're only just starting to see it now, because early in his career it took him a bit of time, but he's really finding his straps now.
It's amazing what you see sometimes on a racetrack. And I thought No Ordinary Joe there was a lot of confidence about him, I think, from what I was hearing from the camp going into the Greatwood. It was an interesting ploy for Henderson. First time out, lightly raced, second season, obviously, to go straight for that. And despite running keen, it was plan B to let him go. The fact that he was still there, upsides Adagio and West Court, coming last, I was really impressed with that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So I will have a bit, I've got to have a bit on him. I know he's nearly favourite, but we can back him at those sort of prices. But I was really impressed with Sam Reeve. If he travels through that race like he does it, again, that Sandown race is stepping stones to this. I think he's the graded runner in the pack.
He was very good at
He really was.
He was.
I thought he was putting himself up a little bit.
And I tell you, the other thing, just show you how deep a race it is. It's not often we have Goshen in a race and we haven't even mentioned him.
Great that you did, because I don't think he ran badly. This is topical.
Yep,
I suggested that as well on a couple of other shows. I said, actually, we were talking about Song for Someone, who dastardly, individual in the international last time we saw him. But he was on his best. But I think that buzz form is strong, basically. And Goshen, you watch it coming back, he looked the biggest danger coming to the last.
Yeah.
He just didn't stay.
And Ascot, he has to go right-handed. I think we've established that. The ground should be fine for him. 153, is he better than that? Well, probably he is, but if you cherry pick his best performances, it wouldn't be a surprise if he won.
If he wins, he will blow the race apart, won't he? Like they won't see which way he goes. If he wins, he'll win by 20 lengths, I reckon.
Wow, there you go. Listen, he adds a lot of spice to what is a sizzling Betfair Exchange trophy. That's the final big race preview we give you this weekend. Okay, weekend winner time it is. If you don't mind, I will start my favourite jumps track, controversial or not. I love Ascot over the jumps, and in the 115 I'm expecting Gordon Elliott to make a successful raid with Pencil Full of Lead. Topically named with this panel in mind, of course. Pat Cooney.
150.
Oh, the following race.
150 at Ascot, Palmer's Hill, John Joe O'Neill. A bit of a checkered career, this fella, but he got his act together at Wetherby last time out. Won very well. He's only £4 higher. I just think he's a much better horse than his handicap mark, and last time out would suggest if John Joe gets a clear run with him, he could have a very good productive season, starting with Ascot tomorrow.
All right, great stuff. Gee, where are you going? Is it a Berkshire treble?
It is, yeah. I'm going for Cloth Cap in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. Yeah.
Case please to be made.
Yeah, I think that he ran okay last time in the Ladbrokes Trophy, didn't he? 6th of 21. I know he only 11 finished, but I just think that he's got a class edge here. He's down £4 off top weight. I just hope that they're not going for the Grand National. You're
on a double nap as well, aren't you? After night salute one, of course. So you
Yeah.
got to salute that nap. Okay. All right, let's go down to Pond House. Cloth Cap not being ridden by Tom Scudamore for once, of course, Dave Pipe.
Yeah, well, I've got to go for Remastered, haven't I, in the 240, the Tommy Whittle. And if you're looking for another one over the Christmas period, maybe a horse called Jericho Rock, who's been performing well over fences, finished second at Chepstow last time. Might go to Newbury next, and we'll ride him a bit more forcefully, so hopefully he might go well over the Christmas period.
Love it. There you go. 4 weekend winners. Okay, this Christmas countdown has been massively popular. You've all seen the jingle by now, regular viewers. If you're new to it, the ultimate Cheltenham Festival experience awaits you if you place a bet this Friday and on Boxing Day as well on the Racing Post app to enter the big prize. But there are weekly prizes, and you've seen a watch on the jingle, of course. Well, this week it's a tagger coming your way. The powers that be, they do listen. Just place that bet to get involved. Got to be in it to win it. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for on this weekend's What a Shout, nearly at the festive period, aren't we? We will be back on Christmas Eve for you. Do not worry about that. Pat Cooney, you'll be back.
Yes, all being well. Looking forward to it.
Happy days. G-Rod, you won't be with us, but we'll be seeing you over the Christmas period, no doubt.
Yeah, I'll be back, around the Christmas period. I think Keels is back.
Keels is back next Friday. Well, Merry Christmas, G, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, you too.
Absolutely great stuff. And Merry Christmas from us all at What a Shout to everyone at Pond House, Dave. Been brilliant guest as ever.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to be on.
Great stuff. Great to have you with us as well. What a weekend it is. Get your naps in below. Let's see these comments flying. Don't forget, of course, to download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store itself. Gamble responsibly this weekend. That's our MO here at What a Shout. So that's from myself, Dave Orton. Lots of sport out there. Enjoy it.